The villagers still whisper about the night when the Banerjee mansion burned to the ground. They say it wasn't just fire that devoured the house, it was the wrath of a mother's ghost. In the small, fog-covered village of Kalapura, stood the grand Banerjee mansion, owned by Mr. Rajat Banerjee, a ruthless landlord. He had everything: wealth, power, and fear over the villagers. But his wife, Ananya, lived a different life. She was a kind woman, always helping the poor, secretly giving away food and money against her husband's wishes. One stormy night, Rajat discovered her secret generosity. In a fit of uncontrollable rage, he accused her of betrayal. That night, the servants heard chilling screams echoing through the halls. By morning, Ananya was gone. Rajat told everyone she had fallen into the river and drowned. The villagers mourned, but deep down, they knew the truth. Rajat had killed his wife. Months passed, and strange occurrences began in the Banerjee mansion. The grand chandelier would swing violently without wind, whispering voices echoed through the hallways, and shadows moved in the corners where no one stood. Rajat dismissed them as paranoia, but the servants began quitting, one by one, terrified of what lurked in the darkness. Then, one night, Rajat's new wife, Priya, woke up screaming. She had seen a woman in a blood-red sari standing at the foot of her bed, her face pale, her eyes hollow, filled with unimaginable sorrow and rage. "She was watching me," Priya whispered, trembling. Rajat scoffed. "It's just a dream." But it wasn't. As days passed, the hauntings worsened. Rajat would wake up to find deep scratches on his arms, as if nails had torn through his flesh. The mansion's mirrors cracked without reason, reflecting Ananya's sorrowful face before shattering to pieces. The walls dripped with a dark, foul-smelling liquid, and whispers grew louder, chanting his name over and over. The village priest warned Rajat, "She wants revenge. You must confess, or she will never rest." Rajat laughed in his face. "Ghosts don't exist." That very night, the mansion shook with a force that felt like an earthquake. The lights flickered, and a piercing scream filled the air. Priya, now half mad with fear, ran out of the house, never to return. But Rajat stayed, determined to fight what he couldn't see. On the anniversary of Ananya's death, the air grew heavy with an unnatural silence. The wind outside had stopped, and the mansion felt suffocatingly still. Rajat sat alone in his study, gripping a bottle of whiskey, when suddenly, the candles blew out. A voice, cold as death, whispered behind him. "Did you miss me?" Rajat turned, and there she stood, Ananya. Her long, tangled hair floated in the air, her eyes burned with an unearthly fire, and her lips curled into a ghostly smile. Her once gentle hands now ended in razor-sharp claws. Rajat screamed. He tried to run, but the door slammed shut. The walls twisted, shifting like living flesh. Ananya raised her hand, and invisible forces lifted Rajat off the ground. "You took my life," she hissed. "Now I'll take yours." The villagers say the mansion burned that night, engulfed in flames without a single spark. They found Rajat's body the next morning, his face frozen in horror, his eyes wide open, as if he had seen something beyond human understanding. But the strangest part, his heart was missing, ripped clean from his chest. The Banerjee mansion is gone, but the land where it stood remains cursed. People say, on stormy nights, you can still hear a woman's sorrowful laughter, mixed with the agonized screams of a man who met a fate worse than death. And if you ever dare step near that cursed ground, beware, because a mother's revenge never ends.